Hello YouTube! We're on the Real Programming channel. It's about HTML and CSS. My name is Andrei. This is our 66th lesson. I greet you. We will talk about final chapter, divs and spans. There are no dumb questions. So one more time, I get that the lower in the CSS file, the higher the precedence, but how does having multiple links to style sheets in my HTML work? It's always top to bottom, whether it is in the same CSS file or not. Just pretend that you inserted the CSS altogether right into your file in the order the files are linked. That's the order that counts. So when you sort for specificity, you don't resort everything. No, think of each time you sort as referring what you've done before. So first you sort for outer reader browser. Then within each of those sorting, you sort for specificity. And then for any elements that have the same specificity, you sort again based on the ordering in the style sheets. Do readers really make their own style sheets? By and large, no, but there are cases where people with visual impairments do, and of course you always got the crowd that just has to tinker with everything. But since each reader is controlling only how she sees things, it really shouldn't factor into your designs. How much of this do I really need to remember? You're going to develop some intuition for how all these style sheets fit together, and on a day-to-day basis that intuition will get you a long way. Every once in a while, though, you see a style popping up in your pages that just boggle your mind. And that's when you fall back on your training. You'll be able to work through the cascade, and before you know it, you'll know exactly what's happening in your page. So what happens if after all this I still don't have any rules with the property declaration for the property value I'm trying to figure out? Oh, good question. We actually talked about this a little in chapter 7. If you don't find a match for the property and any rules in the cascade, then you try to use inheritance. Remember that not all properties are inherited, like border properties for instance. But for the properties that are inherited, like color, font, color, line, height, and so on, the browser looks at the ancestors of the elements starting with its parent and tries to find a value for the property. If it does, there is your property value. Got it. Hey, but what if the property isn't inherited, or I can find a value in the selectors rules? Then what? Then the only thing left to do is fall back on the default values. They are set in the browser style sheets, and all browsers should have default styles for every element. Oh, and why is this called the cascade anyway? The name cascade was chosen because of the way that styles coming from multiple style sheets can all cascade down into the page, with the most specific style being applied to each element. If that doesn't clear things right up for you about why it's called cascade, don't feel bad. It didn't make it any clearer for us either. Just call it CSS and move on. Stop. Do this exercise before going on to the next chapter. Super brain power. This is special brain power, so special that we're going to let you think about it between chapters. Here's what you need to do. Open the file long.html and locate the electors div. 2. Move the entire electors div section or to the top of the file so it's just below the paragraph that contains the long logo. 3. Save and reload your page. What changed? 4. Open the file long CSS. 5. Locate the hash electors rule. 6. Add the declaration at the bottom of the rule. Load. Load right. And 7. Save your file and reload the page in your browser. What changed? What do you think this property does? Bullet points. Div elements are used to group related elements together into logical sections. Creating logical section can help you identify the main content areas, headers, and footer of your page. You can use div elements to group elements together that you need a common style. Use nested div elements to add future structure to your files for clarity or styling, but don't add structure unless you really need it. Once you have grouped together section of content with div elements, you can style the divs just like you would any other block element. For example, you can add border around a group of elements using the border property on the div they are nested in. The weight property sets the weight of the content area of an element. The total weight of an element is the weight of the content area plus the weight of any padding, border, and margins you add. Once you set the weight of an element, it no longer expands to fit the entire width of the browser window. Text legend is a property for block elements that legend inline content in the block element to the center, left or right. It is inherited by any nested block elements. You can use descended selectors to select elements nested within other elements. For instance, the descender selector selects all h2s nested in div element, including children, grandchildren, etc. You can use shortcuts for related properties. For instance, padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left are all related to padding and can be specified with one short rule padding. Padding, margin, border, background, and font properties can all be specified with shortcuts. The span inline elements is similar to the div element. It is used to group together related inline elements in text. Just like with div, you can add span elements to classes or give span elements unique IDs to style them. The A element it is in the example of an element with different states. The main A element states are invisited, visited, and over. You can style each of these states separately with pseudo-classes. The pseudo-classes used more often with the A element are link for unvisited links, visited for visited links, and over for the over state. Pseudo-class can be used with other elements too, not just A element. Additional pseudo-classes are the overactive focus, first child, and last child pseudo-classes, among others. HTML cross on vacation. Since you got a super brain power work on, we gave the HTML cross vacation in this chapter. Don't worry, he'll back in the next one. Sharpen your pencil solution exercise. Here is the box that has all the weights labeled. Your job was to figure out the weight of an entire box. Here is the solution. 269 pixels. Next. So, now that you understand what's the total weight of the Elixir's box, to start with, we know the content area is 200 pixels. We also set some left and right padding that affects the weight, as well as border that's set to. Then, just assume a thin border is 1 pixel thick, like it is on most browsers. And what about margins? We set the left margin value, but no right margin value. So the right margin is 0 pixels by default. Your job was to figure out the total weight of the Elixir's div. Here is the solution. 262. And next, your turn. Write the selector that selects only h3 elements inside the Elixir's div. In your rule, set the color property to #d12c47. Also label the elements in the graph below that are selected. Here is the solution. Here is the rule. We select any h3 descendants of an element with the ID elixirs, and here is what the graph looks like. Exercise solution. Next, it's time to put all your new knowledge to work. You'll notice that at the bottom of the log, There is a small section with copyright information that acts as a footer for the page and a div to make this into its own logical section. After you've done that, style it with these properties. Let's make the text really small, fine print, and let's center the text. We're also setting the line height to be normal. And let's add some top margin to give the footer a little breathing room. Place deep text around the copyright information and give it an ID name footer. And even better solution would be change p small, which is an element designed specifically for small print. Try it. And here is the CSS for the footer. And the next solution. Your job was finish adding the spend elements the rest of the music. Recommendation and test your page. Here is the solution. And next solution. Your job is to give the detailed directions link in the long some style just like the Elixirs link. We want all unvisited links to be aquamarine and all visited links to be gray. However, we don't want the other links in the long to have any our style that's unique to the Elixirs. So how would you do it? Fill in the blanks to give the detailed directions link and any others links. You might add the long letter style. Here is the solution. And try your hand to calculate the specificity of these selectors using the cascade rules. Here is the solution. And 11, chapter layout and positioning, arranging elements. We'll talk about this in the next lesson. This is our 66th lesson over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Please like, share with friends, comment, eat bananas, chocolate, and nuts, drink more water for the effective work of our brains. Bye.